That was fun. That was a lot of fun. This is how to play the Mission Impossible theme. This is one of the most famous movie themes of all time, but also coincides with the new movie, which is fantastic. Do go and see it in cinemas. The main riff is very easy, very beginner friendly, and it is just 8 notes, this part here. So we'll be covering that in depth and how to play the rest of it, including the lead line, which I've done differently. I'm using different notes that you might see in different tabs and things. And that is so that we can use a picking technique called sweep picking. Which will enable us to play that famous melody so much easier than if we were picking, for example, downstrokes or things. This will make it a lot easier to do quicker, but it's a difficult technique. It's a difficult one to nail. But let's have a close-up now and learn the main riff. Okay, so we're positioning our fingers with the first finger at the first fret and the third finger hovering over the 3rd fret, and it's the 3rd fret where we're going to begin. Now there are 2 different techniques to play this first note in this whole riff. We could have the thumb in the center at the back of the neck, right there, okay, boom, and have our fingers in more the classical fashion. Or we can use the rock and roll technique, which is where the thumb is a little bit higher and the wrist is therefore straighter, so we haven't got a kink in the wrist. And essentially we can make this stretch by having our fingers on this angle and trying to reach those first even 4 frets by having that thumb higher. Either should be possible with a little bit of practice for any of you watching this tutorial, but make sure that you relax with whichever position that you're playing. And try and remember that it's good finger placement, being at this side of the fret and not here. You know, if you're in the middle of the fret or at this side, it's gonna be, you'll have to press down harder, and we don't want that. We want you to be at this side of the fret, utching up against the metal fret going down in this area here. So we have 3rd fret twice, then 1 and 1st fret to 3rd fret. So in the tab this would look 3, 3, 1, 3. And those fret numbers correspond with your finger numbers as well. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So 3rd, 3rd, 1st, 3rd. 3rd, 3rd on the thickest string. 1st, 3rd on string 5 on the next one down. Okay? Same rhythm. This time 1, 2 is the finished. So the second half of it, 3, 3, 1, 2. In total, 8 notes. There are 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, one more time really slow. Fantastic for finger coordination, but there's a little trick that we want to get with this one, which is relaxing your fingers between each note. Now you are likely doing this already, but I want you to keep touching the strings at all times, just lift off of the fretboard. So for example, rather than, or even worse, rather than, know, with the fingers kind of flying off the fretboard like this, what I want you to try and do, press down and then relax. And when you relax, you can even relax over the other strings, and then we don't get any sound at all, which is good. In between the notes, we don't want any sound. And I would choose to do that with that first finger in particular, muting all 6 strings at kind of pretty much at all times, unless we're using it. And it doesn't matter whether your thumb is high or your thumb is low, we can still do that same thing. The other thing that I was adding is what we call chickers, which were like this. Really does bring it to life, and all I'm doing there is doing alternate picking with 8th picks, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? And what that creates is when we press the note down, we get a note, but when we relax, it gives us the rhythm. This is a real rock rhythm guitar technique, really, that I cover a lot in my rhythm guitar course, which is on the website andyguitar.co.uk. That's Rock Rhythm is the course where we look at chickers an awful lot. But let's get on to the famous lead line now and look at how to do it with normal picking and then sweep picking. A deceptively tricky little lead line because it is quite fast. The notes are basically, I'm using a D minor chord shape, but starting up at the 6th fret. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in between these 2 dots here, which you will be able to see, and we make a D minor shape from there. And if we just picked each of those notes from string 1, then 2, then 3, you can hear that we get the start of the famous riff. We just need to do it quite quick. And rather than pick, 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 it's best to use a little up strumming motion. That way we can play it quicker, much easier, you know, we can get the result that we're wanting much quicker. The thing that we're not wanting to happen though is to keep all the fingers down if we're being strict to what we're wanting, and it will make it harder to do the rest if you're keeping your fingers down. So what we want is after we've played each string and we move on to the next one, we lift off each finger after we've played it. So we'll look at that technique in a second, but let's just look at the other chords to show that we do need that technique. That's our first one. The next one, this note's just going to go down each time, okay? So D minor shape. Then let's change our fingers to be in this cool little chord. And then we do the same thing, but move that first finger down a fret. And then 3, 5. Okay, one more time. A tricky technique, but the notes are fairly simple, and when you get the knack for the little up strum, it can really come together and be quite fun. The next one, we're kind of imagining 2 notes from a G minor chord, which is kind of the key of this song, G minor, and filling in some notes. They're our first 2, 3 to 5, kind of a minor pentatonic type thing. And then we need to move that little finger to what is 7th fret. So 3rd fret dot, 5th fret and 7th fret. And it's this note this time that's going to come down a fret at a time. And that coming down a fret at a time really gives this riff some tension. That's probably what made it so famous, this sort of descending, what we call a chromatic pattern. Picking wise, those 2 with an up. probably do. So I'd probably go up, up, down. 5, 3, 7, 5, 3, 6, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5. And then we have a change. When we go to the higher bit, we move the riff down. That just moves down a string. For that section. And we actually play the same thing as we did at the start in the melody, but we move it up to 11th fret with the first finger. And then we're back to. And then we're at the end. Which is, at that ending, 3 again, 4, 6, 3. 3, 2, 4, 6, 3. And then 6, 8. And there's a really cool chord bit in that section. The power chords underneath are going. 5th fret power chord, 6th fret, 8th fret, and then this chord, which is a nice little James Bond type thing. So the power chord moved up by 1. If you can, add that little finger on. That's what I'm hearing on the recording, and when we add at the top, it really gives us that Mission Impossible vibe on that last chord. The only other technique that I was using in this song is an octave technique. Which is this riff, moved up an octave and played on 1 string. 10th fret here, this is 12th fret where that little F is. And then we use the little finger, or the 3rd, but generally the little so we can keep it all the way down. With the 3rd. But importantly, that first finger is muting all 6 strings, and we're only pressing down there. So my first finger's on this kind of angle to do that. That is an octave technique using string 5 and string 3, which is just great for bringing things to life, giving things a real kick up. If you're only used to playing notes on 1 string, you know, with melodies or riffs, really brings it to life when we can add that in. Thank you so much for checking out this tutorial. You can check out more movie themes and other kind of movie and film tutorial songs, or songs that were kind of from movies and things like that. Let me know your requests in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. I will see you again in another Andy Guitar tutorial.